What's up, y'all? We're gonna get started here in just a second. How's everybody doing today? This is a test. Hopefully it sounds good. Then I can just get started. If not, I'm gonna have to tweak it and things like that. But hopefully it's good and we can just get started. That's the goal. Gotta get my mic together. Okay. I think I had everything set up, but I need to definitely check and make sure that we are still okay. Cool. Well, it sounds like let me see. Oops. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, mic check. Okay, it seems like we're good now. If y'all can hear me, let me know. If you can't hear me, let me know too. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, we are trying out a new format, and man, I hated I did that. I didn't make it public, but oh well. We'll figure it out later. Okay, so we are here. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody can hear me. I need to check my levels. It seems like we're good now. Okay. Wow. Y'all, we that sounds really good. We have really been trying to get this together and get it sounding right. And I think we have reached that goal. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Everything is it's sounding good. It is Wednesday morning. We are here in the studio getting ready for our day. And one of the things that we want to one of the things that we want to talk about today is Latinos and racism with inside their community. Now we've always been told it's just like I've always have been like, why is it like it seems like almost like you growing up you really never got a whole lot of invites, let's say from Latino people. Like as far as not playing with I don't know, have anybody ever experienced that, or is that something that you guys have noticed like um every race, even like white people. I've had birthday parties where I was invited to birthday parties and things like that. And this is just my experience. I can't speak for everybody's experience. That's one thing I want to say right away because this was a little bit back then. I think a little bit is different now. I don't know, but I do know that I had Latino people like in my, so not a whole lot, back then, but you had some Mexicans, what I'm saying, around you and stuff like that. And you definitely knew of some Mexicans and things like that. But I never had like really them trying to be my friend and come over my house. Definitely come over my house, you know what I'm saying? And to be my friend and just be start a relationship. Like I said, I had friends with every race. I had friends with white people. I had friends with black people. I had friends with just about everybody. Jamaicans, you know what I'm saying? Asian people. Them too. They never really ever really invited me to their house and stuff like that either. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother story. I think the other day, like I said we get attacked from everybody, and some people got offended by that. They were like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean we got attack? Like, you have to understand, like, when I say attack, like, I mean, like, every race is like, there's something with black people that they find either offensive or they don't like. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I don't see that with our race. I don't see our race looking at other races like, yeah, they should be. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that same level of uh racism with other races. Only thing I see like with us is like against our own self. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen like, well, I'm not gonna say that. I've seen some really pro militant or black people who like against everything. You know what I'm saying? But that's rare. Like, that's a really, really rare. A lot of people that I know, black people that I know are cool with, like, you know what I'm saying? If you cool with them, they're cool with you. They'll accept you and things like that. You know what I'm saying? No matter what color you are. That's the beautiful thing about us, is that we are willing to accept a lot of people, even in our cultures, like our music and stuff like that, our music, our entertainment. Like, we will really like be like, okay, yeah, you'll give you a chance. Um, will fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? The Rock. I don't even like The Rock. We don't even know what The Rock is. I don't even know what The Rock is. I think some people say he's black, has black in him, Hawaiian. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? When you break it down, it doesn't matter. As long as he doing what he do, he cool. He, you know what I'm saying, doing movies, like, that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? But with other races, it really is. It's like, it's about the skin tone. If your skin tone ain't their skin tone, then they don't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just really, really like what I see, and even more today. Like, the divide and gap is even more, y'all. It's like the divide and gap is really, it's more than I think what it used to be, you know. And to me, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put up here where you can scan this QR code, and then you can support my podcast. So we're gonna throw that up there, and y'all, I just really appreciate if y'all would help me out, help me get some things going and stuff like that. It doesn't cost a whole lot. You can donate any of that stuff. All right. So let me see here. I don't know if I can add both of these at the same time, but we're gonna have some affiliate links on here and things like that, to where you can you can buy some stuff from me, and all that stuff. So we trying to grow. We're trying to get this thing popping to where it's just really um, really up there. So I just really appreciate if everybody would you know try to donate some, whatever. Try to give some. And I think that'd be a cool thing. Okay, and we're gonna roll with this right here because this looks cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're gonna do. All right, so we are back in full effect. So with that being said, and it is really cool, y'all. I swear this is a really cool setup that we got here, and we're gonna try to work it. So anyway, so with that being said, I'm gonna show this video, y'all, and I want y'all to take a look, and just tell me what you think about this, okay? Because this is gonna open a lot of you guys' eyes to what I'm saying and bring some truth to it. Here we go.
Dear Latinos, being racist to other Latinos, indigenous, and black folks will not bring you any closer to the whiteness that you crave so much. And if this message bothers you, then it was probably meant for you.
A lot of Hispanic and Latino parents will literally try to teach you at a young age to not be friends with black people, and it's fucking disgusting. They show you racism, anti-blackness, like colorism at a fucking young age. You could be a dark-skinned Latino, and yet you will get a lot of fucking hate. Not only that, media will even fucking show that shit too, where literally they show that white Latinos are literally rich, smart, educated, and they're always holy. But when it comes to black people or Afro-Latinos, they're ghetto, they're poor, uneducated, and they're criminals.
Imagine that there was somebody who had a perfect memory and could consume and read every
Latino man here admits that they were told to stay away from black people. Okay, there's been racial or segregation or colorism between Latinos family because the white Latinos, they don't show the good love, or they don't show love towards the black Latinos. That's not the case of Latinos only. It's the case too of some of black people, because there is colorism everywhere. We cannot deny that. But here we are talking about Latinos. In this video, there is these Latinos who are accepting that there is racism in Latino community, and they were told to stay away from black Americans' neighborhoods, or from black people neighborhoods, because of one or two reasons. Let's see these videos, and then we'll come back again and talk about it.
Because let's talk about this shit, because this shit is so A lot of Hispanic and Latino parents at a young age to not be friends with black people, and it's disgusting. They show you racism, anti-blackness, like colorism at a young age. You could be a dark-skinned Latino, and yet you will get a lot of hate. Not only that, media will even show that shit too, where literally they show that white Latinos are literally rich, smart, educated, and they're always holy. But when it comes to black people or Afro Latinos, they're ghetto, they're poor, uneducated, and they're criminals. And not only that, a lot of these celebrities believe this shit too. And also, they do blackface. And that's why a lot of people don't want to unionize when it comes to the Hispanic and Latino community, because of the amount of fucking anti-blackness, the racism towards black people. And not only that, y'all forget that literally black people have influenced our fucking community so much, from technology,
are y'all hearing
from
this?
food, to even music. And some of y'all bitches be dancing to those music that literally were influenced by black people. And it's even worse in this section. People are showing their true colors. And that's why people hate us, because the amount of anti-blackness.
Within my mother's side of the family, there's a lot of light-skinned Dominicans and dark-skinned Dominicans. My twin sister's darker than me. My older sister's what you call Haba, which is light-skinned, kinky hair. But there's the mentality even within my family that we ain't black. You know, we're Dominican.
That's crazy. Because like you would look at her, I would look at her and be like, oh, she's a sexy or she's a fine Mexican lady, and then her sister being darker be like, oh, she's even finer. Like, you know, to me, like I've always been like, yeah, but to them, they look like that's too dark. You too dark, you too dark for Mexican. And I didn't know that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like, you have to be a light-skinned Mexican to fit in with most Mexicans. That's crazy.
I was always trying to school my parents.
She's not light enough.
My father would always say something derogatory. Like if I tell my dad some story about something that happened in the subway, he would say, oh, he was a black guy, right? It was like, what, because you're white? So I'd have to challenge him. I needed him to understand that he was black too, you know, and that he was the man and he was black.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, to people who say, oh, well, y'all have to understand, behind closed doors, even if it's not in front of you, behind closed doors, this is what like other races are saying. Like, black people are not looked at good at all. You know what I'm saying? Behind closed doors. I mean, when they are in front of you, yes, they may say this and that, but behind closed doors, and common sense tells you, if this is how they think of behind closed doors, then some of that stuff, I'm not saying every single thing, but some of that stuff they're acting on when it comes to hiring for jobs, when it comes to giving you a fair chance and things like that, they're going to act on how they feel behind closed doors. If you don't think that, then you're insane. For people who don't think racism still exists, like, watch this. This is Latino people. We haven't even gotten to any other race. This is just like how Latinos feel about black people. Latinos, y'all, come on. If somebody say that racism doesn't exist, I really don't know what to say to you. You have it good. And that's the thing. If you have it good and you're not experiencing racism, great. That. But you have to understand that other people are. And you can't just say because you don't experience it, because you're lucky enough that you've skated your whole life and not experiencing no racism, which is hard to believe. But if you've done that, great. Awesome. But don't sit there and leave every other black person behind because you've been allowed to escape that. Don't do that. That's not a good way to go about this thing. Understand and realize that other people are being discriminated against. Other people are being attacked. Try to understand when somebody being attacked. Try to understand that. Don't just say, oh, well, it was their fault because they're black. If you do that, you're doing the same thing they're doing.
Against black people. Good question. So first of all, let me start by acknowledging that's the truth. And anyone that says otherwise is not helpful in this whole conversation. Like white people saying, I don't see color. Secondly, race is just a construct that was invented by European people intended to divide us, which they successfully managed to do. And unfortunately, just like many other purposefully marginalized communities, we play along exactly into the narrative of letting them divide us. We all have that tío or abuelito or papa in our family that is racist, that is, has issues with Black people or Asian people, or is homophobic or transphobic. And most likely it's more family members than not. The issue is that it's really difficult to have these conversations. But we need to have these conversations with our own community. We need to call out, call in, and educate our own family members, our own friends. And too often I see Latinos stay silent. And they say, oh, that's just how he is. And yes, I use he a lot because it's a lot of times the man, at least in my experience. And if you live in LA, you probably know the scandal we recently had with the leaked audio. For me, the only scandal really was that so many Latinos that I know pretended that that's a surprise. Really? That's exactly like white people pretending that they're surprised that racism exists. There are so many issues in our Latino community, from being anti-Black to brown people calling themselves white. I mean, please identify as whatever you want, but it's weird. To light-skinned Latinos like myself, pretending that they have the same racism to deal with as a Black person. And then there is the whole other layer of not being Latino enough, not being Black enough, not being brown enough. It's like our community is so busy tearing each other down that we lost sight of who is actually doing the oppression here. I had a US-born friend here in LA whose both parents were Mexican, but she has never been to Mexico and she doesn't speak Spanish. And she told me that in her opinion, I wasn't really Mexican, which I thought was funny. And I immigrated as an adult. I'm not even first generation. I'm a Mexican immigrant in the United States. But to her, just because my mom was European, that was enough to tell me I wasn't actually Latina. And those are the same kind of people that pretend that all Latinos are brown and act like Afro-Latinos don't exist. It's time for all of us to unite, because together we're not the minority. We are the majority if we just have each other's back.
Shopify is a platform that helps entrepreneurs get started down the path they want. Sometimes starting a business can be scary. I feel like I lost.
The best example of how anti-Black the Latinx community can be and is that the Dominican Republic and Haiti is on the same island, but only the Dominican Republic is considered Latin America, to most people at least. Like, it's only been the past few years that I realized that since I'm Haitian American, I am also Afro-Latinx. In the way, it doesn't even sit right with me because I've never been considered that by the Latinx community. Is wild. Like, even on our island of Hispaniola, the anti-Blackness, the racism, the colorism is wild, and I don't know, like, it literally blows my mind.
I lived in Miami for almost a year, and while I was there, in the apartment building that I was living in Pembroke Pines, there were some Mexican guys doing some repairs on the roof. They saw me pass by walking my dog, and they say, "Beautiful, morena." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And they say, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Cuba." They say, "Cuba? We didn't know people in Cuba look like you." And I said, "Like me, like what? Black?" And he just stopped on his tracks and changed the subject. The majority of Latino people are very racist. I didn't know that I was living in a very racist country until I met my Jamaican husband, and he made me realize how racist people in Cuba were. And once your eyes are open to this, you cannot unsee it. There was a time in Jamaica when you could watch Spanish television. We had 2 TV stations, Univision and Telemundo. These TV stations, each of them had 1 Black anchor. One had 1 female for the news, and the other one had a male, 2 Black people. Both TV stations show a wide array of telenovelas, which is basically Spanish soap operas. And these telenovelas were made and produced in Latin America. Brazil, Colombia, Mexico are one of the biggest places where soap operas are made. Now you tell me now, how a Colombian telenovela of 350 episodes don't have one black person in it. If you see a black actor on a telenovela, it's actually playing a slave or to bring back Celia Cruz. So these have just and had made people from other places be just be surprised. I'm sorry this happens.
Not every Latina identifies as black.
Racist Latinos do not identify with being black because they was told by their parents that they are better than you. They look down on you. They think you're not going to be anything in life. If they discriminate and be racist towards you, that white people are going to accept them. And that's where it's coming from. It has been taught by their parents. They don't want to be black. This is why it's mind-boggling. I keep hearing black people say black and brown. Even black celebrities and rappers. Black and brown? Oh, you kidding me? What have brown people done for black people?
Here lies the problem. There are Latin women and Hispanic women who talk about, oh, I'm Latin this, I'm Hispanic that, I stand for my people, la raza, blah, 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 blah. And then they are against black people. They're against things black people do. They show their racism, but then they want to be black when they want to be black when it benefits them. Okay? So not everybody that's a Latin person or Hispanic person identifies as black. A lot of them fake the funk just to fit in where they can get in. However, my original post referred to the Latin women holding off on doing their follow train and let the black women do what they need to do. And for very obvious reasons. Now, people are going to do what they want to do. And if somebody feels some type of way about it, hey, that's on them. That's not on me. But here lies do you become a black person too? Because if a black person, if black women are having the black girls follow train, then, and you identify as black, then you should be doing the train, following that train, right? But Latin women want to start their own. So are these just straight Latin women that don't identify as black or have no kind of black ancestry? You get what I'm saying?
Black people stay hating on Latinos. Is it jealousy? No. Jealousy? What? Jealous of what? There are black Latinos, so what is your point?
I feel like something people don't talk about is like the prejudice that we have within Latino communities. So I grew up in Miami, like most of us are Latino in Miami, but I did like experience like racism and things like that because of my skin color, because of my features. So that's something that like I struggled with. But at the end of the day, like my mom, I remember something she would do is like, when Miss Universe would come on, she'd be like, look at all like the brown ladies. Like sometimes it'd be like Miss Venezuela was like una morena. And she'd be like, look at her. Because my mom is a white Latina. So we look different in some ways. So that was kind of like a shock because where I was from in Nicaragua, I didn't experience that. We were all brown, you know,
Right.
we all look similar to me. But in Miami, you have so many different cultures. And unfortunately, there is that prejudice within our community.
I was asked if there is racism in the Dominican Republic. This is a difficult subject because racial discrimination in my country is normalized, and most of the people don't think we have a racism issue, which makes the dialogue difficult. But yes, there is racism in the Dominican Republic, and there is colorism too. I realized that for people outside our cultural context to hear that on a
listen, y'all, just watch. Don't let the word racism blow you, because this is the thing, y'all. We Black, we're going to experience some level of racism. Okay, we need to talk about it. Okay, it's not bad for us to sit and talk about it because we're going to experience it on some level. All right, that's with any topic. Let's just talk about it. That's all I'm saying. Let's just talk about it. You know what I'm saying? It's smart, it's intelligent. We as people, that's the only way we're going to come to anything is to talk about things. So let's talk about it.
a country where the majority of people is Black or mulatto, there is racism sounds absurd. But hear me out. This is a consequence of colonialism. During colonial dominion, there is an imposition of language, religion, and culture of the colonizers. So we were taught to believe that everything that was Black or African was bad or ugly. Follow me for more.
I faced discrimination for speaking my native tongue. Time and time again, white sailors would butt into my private conversations to confront my friends and I for speaking Spanish. They would say things like, "It's rude to speak Spanish. Stop speaking that language. This is America." And to be clear, this would happen when I was chilling with my friends, not during work hours. There were times I felt helpless, like the system was against us, even though we had every right to speak our language. But I wasn't one to just sit there and take it. I would argue back, and that would often get me into trouble. But I didn't care because I was putting my life on the line for this country. And I'll be damned if someone's gonna restrict my freedom of speech. So to all the racists and xenophobes who keep telling us to speak English, listen up. It's disrespectful to tell anyone not to speak their native tongue. Because this is America, a land of immigrants, a melting pot of cultures where we could go to any restaurant and speak any language que nos pega la gana. And if you don't like it, too bad, because we're not going anywhere.
So my parents call me Prieto. Prieto means dark. Or Negro. Negro obviously means black. And that's literally what they call me, right? My cousin will call me Negrito. And I guess in Mexico, it's so desensitized. But again, in Mexico, slavery was abolished way before the US. So maybe that's why it's not a thing. I don't know. Now, with that being said, I'm the dark kind of Mexican, obviously, right? So I'm actual brown, not peachy brown. I'm brown. It's now becoming a thing. More recently, I started hearing about colorism. Like colorism, this is the first year that I hear about it. I've never heard about it in my life. Racism, obviously we grew up with that, right? Like we grew up knowing about it. I've always refused to be a victim or whatever. Nonetheless, I acknowledge that it's a real thing, right? It exists. So in Mexico, the racism and colorism stuff isn't as apparent, but I guess it's a thing. I've never experienced it, but then again, I don't go to Mexico too often. Yeah, here in the US, I don't think people can call or have those nicknames for other people, especially if their actual color is not the same color, right? So I don't think a white person calls things to people, which is kind of weird. That in Mexico, it is allowed. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Are Mexicans racist? I don't think so. It comes from a place of love when they say those things. At least that's what I think. But let me know what you guys think.
Welcome back. Now, historically, various groups has been using racism to create division between people who are already marginalized. And when you talk about Latinos, welcome back. Now, historically, racism has been used to divide people. And this division or this narrative came by the oppressor. Even the white Latinos who were told to stay away from the black people, they were told this by the oppressor and they followed it. Now every day, Latinos try so hard to make the oppressor happy than their own people who are the black people. Even in the Latino communities, there are some black people, or the black people are facing, or Latinos black are facing hardship staying there. Just lately, you had these guys from not Cubans, the other one saying that they are not black, they are Dominican, because they don't want to associate themselves by black people. But first step of getting rid of this racism and narrative is by accepting it. Latinos have started accepting that black people or black is their nature, and they have started accepting that they were denied rights to mingle and love people. This group of people, community information. One way that through negative stereotypes about black people, there was negative stereotype about black people. These stereotypes pointed to black people as dangerous, immoral, or less cultured. Now, when these ideas were spread to Latinos and other groups, it was often done by powerful elites who sought to maintain control over society by promoting fear and distrust between communities. It's not that they were told this so that they can get something from it, but some elite groups wanted to stay on power, wanted to stay in control. They wanted to instigate fear between the people so that they can get through. For you to control over a set of people, you have to divide them. For you to take people's property or community, you have to divide them. Once you divide them, they become laws. And that's what they did to Latinos. They made Latinos are loose. They made Latinos have cracks. Not Latinos all alone. Black people, Indians. Black people are people who are strong, courageous, and they can do anything. So they knew very well, when we attack, when these people are together, it will be hard for us to take over this. It will be hard for us to sell our narrative. What we need to do is let's divide them. Let's stereotype. Let's send misinformation about black people, because these are the only people who can defeat us, the black people. So we need to send misinformation on this other group about black people that are dangerous, so that these people, they will help us to fight against black people. They will help us to...
And yeah, let me say this too. Like what he's saying is like something that I've always like heard about and thought about. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is, I want y'all to understand, this is no way racism. I'm not being racist against somebody. I tell you the first part, I'm not racist against nobody. I love everybody. If you respect me, I respect you. But I do want to hear about it. You understand? I want to hear about it, because you have to understand, it's like right now, especially with people on the far right, like that's what they on, like these Hitler and all this saluting and all that stuff. That is straight racism. Like, so they're practicing it, and then people are telling us don't talk about it, ignore it. Like, come on, y'all, we gotta have some type of, we gotta say something about it. We gotta talk about it somehow. You feel what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, if we don't, then we clueless. Like, this is, you have to understand my podcast, and I'm going to say this 1,000 times. Please understand this. My podcast is to bring discussion so we can talk about it. Okay? I'm not dead on one subject or another. Sometimes I do, but I might not even project that on y'all. But I'm telling you that I want to talk about issues. That's what podcasts are, is to talk about issues. No matter how far they are, no matter how, it's to talk about issues, okay? Don't make this personal, y'all. This ain't got nothing to do. I haven't even came out and talked about what happened to me the other day. So this ain't got nothing to do with this. So please don't try to tie this to what happened to me or none of that. This is something that I just want to talk about. So I'm going to talk about it, all right? So let's finish watching the rest of it, and then we're going to go on to something else.
Discriminate black people. They will help us to aggregate black people. And once that is done, it will be easy for us to pass. It will be easy for us to conquer. So they did what? they came up with racial stereotyping and misinformation about black people, saying that, oh, these guys are dangerous. Oh, these guys are immoral. Oh, they are less cultures. See their skin, you know? And yeah, people bought this. And it has been affecting them. Even in America right now, some Latinos voted for Trump, not because they wanted to vote for Trump. It's because the other people, which are black people, they are voting for the rival of Donald Trump. So they did not want to side. And that's why they are suffering. Racism and colorism. Now, the history, particularly in Latino America, contributed the perpetuating of racial hierarchies. During colonial rule, indigenous people and Africans were often seen as inferior to Europeans. Now, the idea didn't disappear. It didn't. After colonization, after colonialism ended and colorism, the belief of lighter skin are better than darker skin, continued to influence how different racial groups interacted. In some Latino American countries, this meant that Afro-Latinos, those are Latinos of African descendants, that Afro-Latinos were often discriminated against or pushed to the margins of society, while those with lighter skins were seen as higher status. Lighter-skinned Latinos were encouraged to distance themselves from darker-skinned people to align with the European ideas of whiteness. They were valued in those societies. Those are people of lighter skin. And when colonization was on, white people were the one on top. So when it ended, they said this, let's continue this thing through what? Through colorism, because there are some people who have lighter skin and they're just of the same community. All of them are Latino. So they encourage them that they are better off this other gender. And it made sense. It made sense because already they have stereotyped black people. They have sent misinformation about black people. So the lighter skinned people thought they were better. And that's what we call colorism.
So this is like we even with the black community. That's true. Like with the black community, if you're light skinned, some of us feel like you're better off. Like we've known that for years. Like that's not nothing that's new. Like, come on, it's even within our community. If you are light skinned, it's like you're better off. Right? So, I mean, the stuff he's saying, it's not like this stuff is way far off and it's true and he lying and all that. Like, come on, y'all. Like, I don't try to push nothing on nobody. You know what I'm saying? But if it is what it is, it is what it is. Like, I think like even like with Beyonce, and it's a lot of stars I see, like, I didn't even notice how they lighten their skin up like over the years. Like Michael Jackson was one of the biggest ones. Because Michael Jackson understood that in order for him to continue rising, to get, you know what I'm saying, he felt like he had to be light skinned. Before even like Wesley Snipes, it was like light skinned brothers was in. You go back to slavery days, light skinned brothers was in the house. Like, I don't understand. Why would somebody say that this dude is way off? And we've always known that light skin was in as far as getting shit done. Like, I don't get that. So that's what I said. Y'all just go back and before y'all, because I know it's a heated subject. I know that racism in itself is a heated subject. I get that. But just go back and watch what he's saying. It's not hate. Ain't none of this stuff that what people are saying is hate. What it is hate, what I'm gonna explain to you, the hate is that they're telling you that we really don't like black people. You feel what I'm saying? So only thing that he's doing is he's letting you, the only thing that this video is doing is letting you see exactly how people were talking, exactly what people were thinking. and stuff like that. It's like if you be like, oh well, let's move on. Well, how? A lot of stuff I didn't even know until today. So how am I gonna move on from it and I don't even know it existed? You feel what I'm saying? That's crazy with us. It's like in our community, it's like move on. You would never tell a Jew to move on from Holocaust ever. You would never tell a Jew to move from Holocaust. I don't understand why with black people, it's like, move on. You've been discriminated against, move on. Okay, well, that's going to happen, but you can't just push somebody to move on from a situation that's still affecting us. Move on from what? We haven't addressed it yet. We need to address it. And even to try to address it, to talk about it, it's like, move on. I mean, like, slow down, people. Like, let's take a look at things and address it. And then if it is to be moved on with, then we can all move on. But going back to the other day, and I wasn't going to throw this in there, but for me to be asked to leave a restaurant, you feel what I'm saying? But I didn't do nothing. There's mistaken identity. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, like, come on, y'all. Like, shit ain't right. And then, like, people say, well, you did this, you do that. Let me ask you a question. You think anybody, how would Karen act? If you go up to a restaurant and ask Karen to leave a restaurant, a restaurant that Karen spent money at, and you ask Karen to leave a restaurant, what Karen gonna say? Or even, I'm gonna say this. You gonna ask a white bum who ain't got no money to leave a restaurant. And he spent money there. He not gonna leave and be like, oh yeah, I'm gone, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? So even them are not required to do that stuff. But we as black people, I don't care how much money you got. You could be on your job, you could be fully dressed with your clothes on, and it don't have to be a police officer. If somebody asks you to do something, you're supposed to obey. And that's the lesson of the day. You just supposed to obey. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why that is okay, but that's the way it is. You know what I'm saying? But y'all, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all this. Anytime something happens with somebody and they're in a racist type situation, what you should not do is be quick to judge the situation, because everybody knows there is a racism in Peoria anywhere. There is just racism, period. So try to understand that racism exists and then deal with it. Lately I've been having white people get in touch with me, white people. And they've been like, yo, what's happened is wrong. What happened is wrong. But you have black people be like, well, no, it wasn't. You should have got up and come on, y'all. Like, this is America. That's not what we do in America. We don't get up and tell people to leave a restaurant. You're going to be offended. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be like, what the fuck? For real? Most of us will cuss somebody the fuck out. I didn't cuss nobody out. You feel what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, we got to get authorities here because I don't think what you're doing is right. That's all I was like, I don't think what you're doing is right. But even to question an owner's authority, not a police officer, even to question an owner's authority as a black man, not only does that get me in trouble, get me fired, but then you got a lot of, you got black people like, oh, well, you should do this, that. Come on. I didn't follow the procedure. I get that. I did not follow the procedure. But when you got a gun in your face, you got a racist dude in your face, you're not always going to remember the procedure. Everything going to go out the door. Everything that you learn is going to go out the door, fly out the door. So, it is what it is, But we just try to, that's why we got court systems and stuff like that, so we can try to see if we got recourse or what it is, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, that's the last thing to do. Like, we need to try to support each other, because the same thing can happen to me, can happen to you, can happen to my kids, can happen to grandkids, can happen to anybody. So, let's try to, just try to be understanding when something happens to somebody. Don't try to be quick and be like, oh, well, you did this or you did that. Or you don't know. If you wasn't there, you don't know. As a matter of fact, I got video I'm going to release today about more of what happened. you know, with that whole thing, I got more video that I was going to release, but I think I'm gonna release it today, and you guys gonna see more of it. But that's what it is. So anyway, we are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So we got 2 different platforms that we're streaming live on right now. So make sure that y'all tap in. Make sure that you share it and things like that, and it's gonna be dope. Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so with that being said, we're not gonna, all of them are not gonna be this long, I promise y'all. But this one happens to be long. But we're gonna come back and we're gonna do another quick one. And I appreciate everybody for commenting and stuff like that. We do have another one that we're gonna check out here real soon. So y'all make sure y'all check it out. Once again, my name is Johnny, and this is live from Johnny. It's crazy because right now I got more viewers on YouTube than I have on Facebook. So Facebook is things are changing. We're getting more popular on other sites too. So that's what's up. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. I thank y'all for watching. My name is Johnny. We out.